I'm Mike Dzinski with the TASER Training Department. I want to take a few minutes to discuss with you the logistics of voluntary exposures. The first thing I want to talk about are the waiver forms that's contained within the version 20 DVD or the version 20 download information. You have two different waiver forms. One is designed for law enforcement or security end users or instructors, or the other form, which is generally designed for consumers, should be used for exposures that are done in conjunction with national events or for somebody that comes in and simply wants to be exposed with a TASER CEW. Once the exposures are complete, those waiver forms should be faxed or emailed back to TASER International via the contact information which is provided on the reverse of the form. Agencies can keep a copy of those waiver forms in-house for as long as you desire, but we do need a copy back here at TASER International. The second thing I want to talk about is eye protection. Make sure you're using eye protection for both the volunteers, the spotters, the TASER operator, and anybody else that's going to be in close conjunction with that voluntary exposure. The mere fact that we have probes and blast doors and so forth flying in that environment means that everybody should have proper eye protection. Make sure you have proper spotting and proper matting in your work area, and you have a clear work environment in order to conduct the voluntary exposures. When you're doing your exposures, make sure your volunteers are properly warmed up. Jumping jacks, push-ups, squats, anything that you can do to try and get the major muscle groups warmed up prior to getting on the mat and actually doing the voluntary exposure. And this includes everything from a drive stun to a probe deployment. Remember, the volunteers are already going to be probably excited, a little bit amped up, so you want to try and get them warmed up physically before they actually get up on the mat. And finally, possibly the most important of everything that I've discussed is realistic probe placements. If you have a series of voluntary exposures, please do not do the same exposure over and over and over, and perhaps give the students in your class a false expectation about what the TASER CEW can and can't do under certain circumstances. For instance, if I have 6 volunteers, I don't want to do a big back shot for each of my 6 volunteers and give my students the impression that every TASER deployment is going to cause full neuromuscular incapacitation. For those 6 volunteers, I may do one back shot, I may do a close probe spread in the leg area, I may do a single probe hit with a drive stun follow-up, and I may also show what a drive stun can achieve versus a probe deployment so that your officers are prepared for what may occur out in the field when they have to deal with situations that involve clothing disconnects, a miss, or somebody, let's face it, who's wearing so much clothing that they have to take something like a leg shot. So if you take all those exposures together and form them into a nice package, you'll give your officers a better understanding of what the TASER can and can't do in the various environmental conditions they find out in the field. Thank you.